Hello and welcome to the first episode of Is That Right Gaming. If you're watching when this video goes live, you're probably watching on USS Balthasar's YouTube channel. If you're watching later, you're probably watching on Is That Right Gaming's new YouTube channel. We're doing a promotion with the USS Balthasar, who will be hosting a board game extravaganza at Modesto Center Plaza in Modesto, California. They will also be hosting a raffle. GMT Games was kind enough to send 2 copies of Apocalypse Road. One that we will be raffling off at the event, and the other we're going to do an unboxing on, and we will be demoing at the con. So be there and you can try out this awesome game. So Apocalypse Road is a game that is ostensibly about the apocalypse. You're racing around a track. The object is not to win the race per se, it's to survive the race. So this game, again, GMT Games, it was designed by Carla and Jeff Horger. The racetrack art and box art was done by Kurt Miller. Then we have the token and card art by Nicole Balsley. Hope I didn't mess that up too badly. And then art direction was by Roger B. McGowan. This is a 2 to 10 player game. It is recommended ages 14 and up, and we're looking at 90 plus minutes of game time. So, why don't we take this down and open this box up and see what we got inside. Alright, so here we see the great box art cover. Very gritty, very nice. So, let's take a look at what's inside Apocalypse Road. Go ahead and slice right on into the plastic here. Alright. We'll go ahead and pull this off, and we'll have a quick look at the rule book, which very much seems in line with their Thunder Alley rule book. Very nice cover image. Hopefully there's not too much glare going on here, but you can kind of get a quick idea of what's in the rule book. We will do probably a review / how to play on this game later. So go ahead and comment below. Let us know that you would like to see that, or what else you might like to see. This is an overview of all the cars in the game. They even got this little glossary here of terms. That'll certainly be useful. So we'll go ahead and set the rule book aside. Oh, I like that blue. So we got Hazelton Mountaineers. That's pretty cool. And Thunder Miners for the green. Extreme Hazard Road Racing. I think that name tops the other names so far. And then we got Deadbeats. Of course, you gotta have Deadbeats. Then we got the Gelato Division. Definitely having some fun with this one. Baguette Bakers. Makes me hungry for some French bread. Archmage Engines. Very, very nice. That's also a blue, though. That's interesting. Then we got Vila's Rangers. Might be saying that right. We got another greenish yellow here with Pockets Racing. And then we got a pink here with Big Damn Heroes. There's your Firefly reference. Apologies for anybody who doesn't like swearing, but I love Firefly, so I'm going to say Big Damn Heroes. Alright, these are small. This is definitely in line with GMT Games. This sheet has different counters on it. There's damaged, there's reloading, there's a first player token here on the end, victory points. I'm sure you guys can see that well. There's a lot going on. GMT Games does like their little cardboard chits. And that, I believe, comes from the wargaming world for the most part. Alrighty, now we'll get into these. Alright, so this is one of the more exciting parts about Thunder Alley or Grand Prix racing. These giant boards that have the racetracks on them. Let's see, how do we... Oh, yep, I should have known. It's got a nice Ziploc baggie. Got to keep your boards safe. I very much like this. Hopefully that plastic doesn't crinkle too much. Here, we'll set this over here so we can pull out Andover Autodrome in Andover, Hampshire, England. So we're starting with the Andover side. I want to make sure we start with that one. So, nice big racetrack here. Hopefully most of this is in frame. So, looks like that we got an entire area towards the back here for destroyed cards. You got your race cards. That'll mess with you a little bit while you're playing. Race cars, race cards. Got your sequence of play down here. Teams on the bottom. And our friendly neighborhood cat mewing in the background. But you can see we got this nice little racetrack here. Even got a start-finish line, though in this style of racing, unless you're using this board with Grand Prix or perhaps Thunder Alley, that start-finish line really does not matter. So, you can see we've got a dirt portion of this track. Very cool, some dilapidated stands over on the side. And then, like this, we can flip it over and we see we've got another board on the other side, another racetrack I should say. This is the wow, what does that say? Essendarium? Springfield, Ohio. Definitely named after Essen, the board game convention. Looks like you start the race off to this side and then you have this sort of figure-8 track here with a dirt portion. And very nice artwork. You got lots of dilapidated stands up top. It's very cool. And I'll go ahead and get this one out of the way so we can take a look at our other board for this game. We'll set this over here and open this up. This is the Tri-Night Crater Run in Washington, D.C. I can get this out of here. Alrighty. Gotta make sure we start on that side of the board. Love these big race mats. Take up a lot of table space, but it is a big track mat. It's very cool on the table. So make sure you got a big enough table space for this. All your little play mats that the drivers will be, or not the drivers, the players. The drivers are in the fictional cars, but the players will have around the board map here for them to use for damage and other things, if it's like the other Thunder Alley Grand Prix games. But yeah, we can see here, this is supposed to be Washington, D.C. You got a crater up at the top. Looks like the Capitol building here. Dilapidated stands. The Washington Monument sticking up in all its glory. This one looks like it's mostly like a dirt track. So that's kind of interesting. But yeah, so that's sort of Washington, D.C. We'll flip this over here. And you can see the other side here. We have the McGowan Orejo? That's bad. I don't know how to say that. And then Sugar Run. This is in Los Mochis, Mexico. So that's kind of cool. Definitely got some interesting building designs on this board. So that's pretty cool. Those are your 4 tracks for Apocalypse Road. Like I said, these do work with Thunder Alley or Grand Prix. You just utilize the start-finish line, where in this game you're not going to utilize the start-finish line. Looks like we got 4 decks of cards here. Interesting. I didn't notice the race cars themselves. Interesting. Look into that. But here's our... We got 4 decks here. Looks like these 2 are race decks, and then we have a movement event and a combat event deck. So as you're playing cards from these race decks, moving around the board, well, as you're playing cards from these race decks, moving around the board, you are going to be running into people, doing damage, and those will come from the combat deck. Then there'll be movement events when you're around other people, so it'll be interesting to see all of those when we finally do get a chance to play. I will quickly try and go through here. Line movement is your draft movement from Thunder Alley. You've got a pursuit movement where you're pushing people. That's another line draft movement. Solo movement is just moving by yourself. I'm assuming that's done the same way in this game. Lead movement is typically you're pulling an entire line. Overtake is new. I'm assuming you're catching up to things with something like that. But yeah, you can see there's +1s in the beginning, +2s. We're in a bunch of +3s. This has an explosion symbol, so I assume that means that it could cause combat or otherwise damage to be caused to somebody that you would run into while racing. Ram, obviously you're trying to hit other people and cause damage. Yeah, a few different things here. It's kind of cool. We'll go through. I think that's pretty much what you can expect from this deck. Yeah, very, very interesting. You got +4 here, and then it's a ram movement. So there's that. We'll go ahead and pop open the other deck. I'm expecting much of the same from these cards as in the other deck. So we've got some line movements, pursuit, solo, overtake, lead. Yeah, there's a lot of different stuff here. You got a +5 in the explosion movement. So lots going on here. Diagonal lead movement. So in the other game, some lead movements, you could make a diagonal movement on the track with them. I'm assuming this is how they're telling people about that in this game, so that instead of just moving, either you're going to move side to side on the track, you move one over and then go a diagonal movement, just go diagonal to the one in front of you, or the one front left or front right, so you can go around cars and not sacrifice that extra movement to move left or right and then go forward. Here we have a movement event deck. Really interested to see what we have in this movement event deck. Let me go ahead and pop this off of here. And this back card, I'll show you in a second, says drift on it. That's kind of a neat thing. The active car may swap places with a linked card directly in front of it. That's kind of a neat event. Some more drift cards. Open road has a lot of words on it. If the active car is alone in a sector, it may move forward as many sectors as necessary to become linked with the next car in front of it in any lane. So that's like a catch-up movement there. Event things here: your shredded tire, engine failure, suspension failure, fuel leak, bottoming out, your car's dragging basically, greasing the landing, high flyer, you jump over things, bounty, some very, very neat cards here. You'll have to get the game and check them all out. Not gonna go through every single one. There's definitely a lot of variation here. Hopefully you can see some of them and get a general idea of what's going on. But yeah, there's some really, really neat cards in that deck. You'll have to see a playthrough or play it yourself at Board Game Extravaganza here in Modesto. Alright, let me get this opened. We'll take a look at the Combat Event deck, which is our last deck. Alright, so go ahead and give you a look at the back of the deck. And then you can see here we got a bump and run. A few bump and runs. Shot of NOS. This is specific weaponry cards here. Go ahead and get through some of these, but you can see kind of what's going on with those, hopefully. Very, very neat looking items here that you're using for weapons. A lot going on. So there you have it. That's essentially the 3 decks that we have in the game. We got this nice board with all the different tokens on it, and we got some different race teams, rulebook, and we got a couple, or technically 4 wonderful tracks here that you can race on, and that is Apocalypse Road by GMT Games. And we'll come back up and talk a little bit more. But let me know what you think. Are you excited for Apocalypse Road? Hey folks, Rob here from the future. Ooh, I know, super cliche. A lot of board game reviewers do it, but here we have the cars from Apocalypse Road. Unfortunately, when we unboxed it, they were not in the box, so GMT Games was nice enough to send us out replacements. So we'll go ahead and show you these really cool cars right now. Alright, so here you can see the cars for Apocalypse Road. Hopefully you can see it on the screen, but these under the numbers there are weapons sticking out. This is pretty cool. There's different styles of cars, sports cars, sedans. There's even some trucks in here, and I'll show you that second page. All kinds of letters and numbers, and plenty of cars for the carnage you're gonna cause on the track.